So hey everyone, it's Brennan with BC Labs, and today we're coming at you with a new video about the Creality K1. So I actually recently just purchased my own K1. Now, this is hot on the heels of the release of the K1C. However, because of the deals that they're running at Micro Center, this was just the best option for me. There's not too many differences between this and the K1C, and we'll get into that later, but I just wanted to get the best of both worlds without spending a chunk of money. So this right here actually only runs about $430 right now. A little bit more if you get the camera. For that price of $430, you end up with a printer that they say can print up to 600 millimeters per second. That's really a maximum travel speed, and you're going to see more like 300 to 400 millimeters per second from my understanding. But let's get into it. Let's test it. So you do have this top cover here, which is nice. Some stickers. Have some packaging foam here, keep it centered. I think the rest of this is going to just come straight up and out. So I'm going to gently pull it out. So I guess the best thing you can do is probably grab from this rigid frame. Everything else seems to be inside. So if you are familiar with the Ender series, although the S1 is even more, pre-assembled, and I believe the same kind of goes for the V3, there's always been a bit of assembly required. And that assembly usually ends up with you having to assemble the X-axis and put it onto the Z uprights, and actually attach the Z uprights to the base of the printer. On here you can see it's already mostly configured. There are door handles that are missing. The screen is missing, although it looks pretty easy to attach. There's your door hardware, power plug. That is a pretty small gauge of wire. .105C metric? No, 18 gauge, okay. 18 gauge. That's a pretty small looking 18 gauge. Alright, so 18 gauge wire, kind of smaller than 18 gauge usually looks, but 105C, well rated. So as you can see, the extruder is actually packed in here pretty good. This is where the other items were, and it keeps it from moving during shipment, which is great. So we have a screen connection in the front, so you can control everything from the interface. USB-A for your thumb drive. Right here is your voltage selector. As you can see, it's defaulted to the incorrect voltage for standard electrical outlets in the US. So I'm going to toggle mine. And of course your filament input into the top. Fan for circulating in and out. And I'm guessing this is where your filament's going to end up attaching and running in. It's a pretty nice little setup. So I guess the next step would probably be to gently remove this foam, kind of holding the extruder in place. You do have this package here. I'm guessing this is where the remaining hardware is. Got to move the gantry forward a little bit to remove that. So we can do it. I don't want to peel the plastic yet. Let's take this off first. I guess I'm going to peel the plastic. I was going to save the peel. It's always the best part. I'm going to leave the side panels on. That way I can at least say that I didn't do all the peels. I'm going to be doing some extensive testing. I want to make sure it's all the way up to my expectations. So there are actually 3 screws. There are 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, that need to be removed from the bed before operation. All we have here, a little toolkit. That's kind of nice. We have, right here we have more filament. What on earth is this? Oh, my screen. So there's the screen. It just looks like it just snaps into place. It does have a ribbon style cable here. Okay, fairly delicate ribbon cable, but alright, so is that it? Is that all it? There we go, kind of walk it down. Okay. So it does come with these little rubber feet. Not sure. That is a good addition. Whoop. I don't know how much that'll help or not. I read that this thing shakes a decent bit. This cast aluminum actually feels pretty substantial. I was really worried that it wouldn't, because when looking at it, it is one piece here, one piece at the bottom, and you have these vertical posts. But when you look at the breakdown Creality shows off on their website, it looks like these linear rails, or sorry, not linear rails, these linear rods are the core structure, which isn't ideal. Instead, you do have this upper portion of the frame, and this is just kind of adding a little bit of rigidity, but also part of the gantry. I was really worried it was not just for the gantry, and that could cause some sponginess that I kind of ran into on a different printer that had an acrylic base. It wasn't very substantive in the way that it was structured, and it eventually just, I threw it out. I replaced it. It wasn't built well. This is not the case here. I think this is really well built, especially for the money. I honestly don't know how Creality acted this all into the package for this price point. And the same goes for the FlashForge Adventure 5M. Amazing piece of hardware for the money. So we have this. I'll spin that around. Well, that's kind of neat. It just twists into place. Not bad. Very simple. You can always get a filament dryer or something, but not a bad, mechanism right there. What on earth is this? Is this bed adhesive? Glue? I hope I don't need that. Try to avoid it if at all possible. It's much better if you don't need that. I'm going to go ahead and put the handle on. What do you think? What are the odds? Finally removing those screws. I don't know how else I would get these out. Okay, one. Another one. All in all, that wasn't that bad. Pretty easy setup. Almost every Creality product needs better instructions. Like, this wasn't included. Some of the other things could have been more clear, although this was probably my bad. These are a little hard to remove, these screws, but... Oh, I didn't even notice they had lights. Very short LED strip right there. Still lights, though. As it says here, make sure to select the correct voltage. And then before applying power, check to make sure the 3 screws were removed. And it even has a warning here for those. So that's good. That is good. So let's go through setup. So we are in English. Next. Remove the 3 screws, A, B, and C. That's been done. And according to the yellow location, welcome. Keep the blue cube in the diagram clear of debris. What? Blue cube in the diagram clear of debris and hit OK. So I'm guessing it's going to be running a test. So it does mention you do need to remove the coating. I did miss that. All right, okay. There has been talk of VFAs and other artifacts people have been experiencing with this printer. So far, most of my prints have come out pretty good. I do think a flow rate calculation is probably necessary to tune things in. The self-tune feature does a pretty good job of taking care of most of that, though. Even with some quality issues, being able to print functional parts really quickly has been a game changer for me. This is actually just the default, one of the default files included on the printer. So it's a Benchy. You can see how quick it goes together. I'm not sure the exact G-code they compiled for this, but it comes out in about 16 minutes, which is crazy fast. This is my first print off the machine using their Hyper PLA, but on some of my subsequent prints, I've actually been able to cut down a 4 or 5 hour print into like 45 minutes, which is crazy. There's actually quite a bit more I'd like to get into and other comparisons I'd like to make between this printer and some of my other ones, but that's probably a video for another day. Overall, I was quite impressed with the initial unboxing and how well it's packaged, as well as the setup process. They did a really good job of making it as turnkey as possible. Now, I don't have any great footage of the initial print, so here's a subsequent Benchy that I've printed off just the other day. There is some noticeable banding that I think is a flow rate issue, and you can see that it's definitely a 0.2 or higher layer height to speed it up. But still pretty impressive for 16 minutes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.